So hello, welcome to the channel, welcome back to the channel, welcome to another Assetto Corsa competition video here on the PC. We're here in Austin we're not here in Austin, we're here in Austria. We're here in Austria at the RedBull Ring, one of the new circuits to feature on ACC of recent. Obviously we've got other stuff up and coming throughout the year, but we're in the GT2 cars, we're in the HOTLAP event. And I've managed to get the car into 90th position within the HOTLAP tables. A beautiful circuit recreated here, I think, in Austria. Yeah, let's take a look at these setups. I have had a little look at some of the setups that seem to be on other YouTube pages, and they really just don't work for me. You kind of look. This was one that I kind of looked at. I'll just load that up. This was on someone else's YouTube channel. I've tried the setup. It feels alright, but there's just way too much rear wing for me. Soon as you come on the long straights, the cars are just pulling away from you. Alright, it's great for the braking zones, it's great for the last phase of the circuit, but the long straights, you're just getting absolutely obliterated. But still, I was able to get into the 28s, probably a 28.5 with it. I think the guy that posted it, I think he managed to 27.9 with it. Not quite sure. I'm on the same wavelength as that, but I've gone with a much lower downforce version to get me into those kind of regions. The toe for me doesn't do a great deal. You could go from nearly 3 really to 2, and then it seems to fall off with performance going down the way. Obviously we've maxed out the cambers. You could probably add a little bit more caster if you wanted more weight in the wheel. Doesn't seem to benefit understeer, adding more caster. It doesn't seem to change that at all. Again, the rear camber is absolutely maxed out. We're just trying to get as much cornering grip as we can. The brake ducts, I have lowered these because the tyres do get hot through the latter stages of the circuit, but trying to get the temperature of the tyres to around, so that the PSI is 26.8, and we're kind of just underneath, around 90 to 100 degrees tyre temperature. Using TC1 throughout half of the lap, and then switching to TC to the traction control off for the second portion of the circuit. Obviously, if you've got a better throttle control, you might want to stick with traction control completely off. I bring that all the way back down. I've probably turned about 200 laps here already at the RedBull Ring. Anti-roll bar, again, we're just trying to get traction from the rear of this car off the corners. It's something that I really struggle with the setup. Finding that brake bias, again, really low brake bias, trying to get the car to slow down. Get that rotation into the corners. Steering ratio, again, you could probably use 14 or 15. Lowering the wheel rates to try and get as much grip as we can. The bump stop range, again, we're just trying to work on understeer and oversteer really, just to try and level them out. And by moving these sliders this way, we get a little bit more oversteer, a little bit more understeer. And again, with the rear of the car, stiffening the suspension to try and get a little bit more rotation. The preload tends to work best for me around 50. I've tried it towards the 10, tried it towards the 80, but 50 is the sweet spots for me. And the dampers, something similar to most of the setups these days. Obviously, without looking into Motec, you're not really going to know what's really going on with the dampers. It's all about feel. And again, the most important page on this setup is it's all happening in these two bars really. I've ranged from 2 to 5, very similar lap times, but every time I go towards 2, you just see that delta getting better along the straights really, but again through the corners we're losing that rear grip. So let's just turn a lap. Obviously, if you start out and your tyres are cold, a good tip is just to come back into the garage, go to the setup, and then just don't alter anything, come back out on the circuit, and you'll have nice warm tyres again. So accelerating down, We're going to cut some of this inside curb, full throttle, in TC1. Coming up onto the curbs here, you can see the Ghost braking at the 100-yard line, 100-metre line, down to second gear, touching this inside curb and let the car run nice and wide, using all this circuit up to the yellow line. Maxing out to 220 kilometers an hour. Into fifth, and we're going to brake. We've crossed one line and we're going to brake somewhere around here. A lot of drivers seem to bring the car really up onto these curbs, but I tend to kind of stick on this blue sort of line, braking as much as I can all the way down to the apex. We're going to come up this inside apex and then accelerating off, using all that curb on the exit. But for me here, this is where the setup really struggles. I don't seem to be able to get the acceleration out of that corner as fast as the Ghost seems to. And there's two options here. You can either stay on this line here where I find all the grip in the circuit, you've got all this rubber laid down. The braking it in a straight line here seems to be absolutely perfect for me. But a lot of the drivers seem to come out onto this sort of line and use all this inside curb and trying to sort of brake as they're coming across here. All the way down to second gear, a little squeeze of the brake pedal and then we're accelerating off. And for me here, I swap down to TC0 because it feels much more responsive through. We've got the car moving, braking at the I think it's the 50-yard line. The car goes really light through the rear, trying to get the nose to tuck in and then accelerating off. Kind of late apex in this corner to get a good acceleration out. Back on the power nice and early. Use all this inside curb. Coming up onto the curb on the left hand side. Braking at the 100, but no, between the 50 and the 100-yard line somewhere. Down to third gear, touching this apex, back on the power. Don't go too far out onto that curb because when you start to brake it really does upset the car. Down to second gear, touch this inside curb and accelerating off. So let's try and put that into fruition. Probably start to see the Ghost just in front of us as we can. I think that's actually the fastest Ghost, the fastest lap time. You see him just pulls ahead along here. Switch to TC1. Just waiting to get on that power. Feels like there's loads of understeer. But we've got very little rear grip. So you step a little bit over the line and that's you done. Let's just try and run another lap. As you can see there, we've got cold tyres and it's really going to impact the start of the lap. So I always just come back in, go to the setup, come back out and we've got nice hot tyres again. better, but still not a good entry to that corner. Just sliding around too much. Feels like there's loads of understeer there. Just checking me using the setup that I wanted. Don't know why. I think I prefer it on 15. I think we should just add maximum. It's weird when you've spent all night on this and then you get in the car and it doesn't feel as good as it last felt. So let's just change. Brake balance feels a little bit too much for me today.
Apologies, mate. That's all nice.
So I think I'll leave that there. Quickly just look at those last 2 laps. So as you can see, we start out with the traction control on 1, braking at the 100-yard board, trying not to run over that yellow curb because it will give you a track limits penalty. Just trying to get the car turned in here really. I really do struggle with acceleration off that corner. For some reason the Ghost is just always ahead of me down this hill. I've never been a point where I don't see that Ghost. So it's obviously something that I'm losing, somewhere I'm losing out on time. But at least with this setup, it's using a fairly low downforce setup, so at least it gives you options to actually do some overtaking in a race. So there we go. There's the lap. I'll quickly return to the garage because I have made a few little changes throughout this video. Just returning back to the car. Obviously a 128.3, but obviously just 2/10 away from that to get where I am on the leaderboard. So I'll just quickly fly through that. The little subtle changes we made, just adding a little bit more weight to the wheel in the caster. Just moving the steering ratio to 15, the brake balance to 48, and the dampers stayed as they were. Maybe I will spend a bit of time at some point looking at Motec, see if I can run Motec through the laptop, and then just lifting the rear ride out 2 clicks just to get a little bit more rotation, trying to combat that understeer. But yeah, if you've got any tips that you want to leave, any areas of the setup that you think might not be working for you, please drop a comment in the comment section. If you've not yet subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe, it's much appreciated. But just the views, watch the views, share the videos, and until next time. Maybe I might start changing my ending to the videos. Usually I would say ciao for now, but I might start saying Mite koto go arigato, which is thanks for watching. Until next time, mite koto arigato.